starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. It's Paul here from Print Audit. Hope you guys are doing well this morning. We're just going to give it another minute here as we let a couple of additional people log into the system, but we should be ready to go very, very shortly. Okay, it looks like we're here. We're ready to go. Again, good morning to everyone who's on the call today. My name is Paul Georgi. I am the Customer Success Manager for the Premier channel. Along with me, I also have Rachel Barker, the head of our professional services team.
Good morning, everybody.
Just before we start, a little bit of housekeeping. You guys are going to be on mute for the duration of the webinar. This should only take about 15-20 minutes to go through everything, so we're going to give you guys some time back. We will have questions, so please feel free to use the question panel in the bottom of the app there. Just type out your question and we will answer them at the end of this webinar. Today, what we're going to be going through is IDM 320. This is a planned update that we're going to be doing the morning of Friday, January 19th, and I'll talk a little bit more about that update towards the end. So that's all for me at the moment. For now, Rachel, let's start with some of the changes. Why don't we go through that?
All right, perfect. So one of the big changes that will be coming in IDM 320 is any users that have a user account with the email permissions only, those are no longer going to exist in the system. So we've changed how our email contacts will work. So if I go under administration, if I go under my customers, and look at one of my customer sites here, you can see now I have a section for email contacts. Email contacts are going to be used for, when you look at creating these, we're creating these for users who should be receiving alerts or reports. And if you will be using the same user account through multiple alerts or through multiple reports, this will make it easier for you to add those users in. So under email contacts, we can add additional users as we need to. Once I've added them in there, I can then go under alerting or reporting again. When I create a new profile, a new alert profile, I should have the option now of adding this user account in, and it would be populated in the list here. You can also add email contacts individually to either alerts or reports, but if I were to add a new contact here and finish the email address, this email would only apply to this alert and it would not be anywhere else in the system. So I would then have to go to a report and add this user in again to that report as an email contact. So with the alert contacts, again, as I said, there will be no user accounts associated to those users. So if I wanted to do a find in here, you can see that no users are set up there.
One of the reasons why we did this change, what we had found was that there were a number of large multi-regional organizations where various vendors were supporting them. And one of the restrictions that we originally had was you could only set up one user email address. So if you had multiple dealers supporting one very large customer, the email alerts or report deliveries would have to be run through one dealer where you could miss some information. By doing this change to the end user type of email address, it allows multiple people to have the to be supporting the same person or the same team under those same emails.
All right, so the one last thing about creating email contacts, you can do this at either a customer level or at a site level. So if I wanted to go under my primary site now, you can see here I have a section for email contacts under here as well. So you can put them in either location. Okay, so are there any questions about email contacts and the change that was made here? Okay, so the next major change that is coming in IDM 320 is user permission. So Paul, do you want to talk to that a little bit?
Sorry, I was on mute there. Sure. So with the user permissions, one of the things that we originally had was either a view or a managed permission. And originally in the system, we had that sort of hard-coded to say, here, you can log in, you can view a couple things, and that's about it. Now, we've gone up with some detailed privilege abilities based on individual users. So you can give certain users very, very specific things under specific scopes, what they can manage, what levels are actually granted to do in certain things. And that's what Rachel's going to take you through now. This gives you a bit of more of a granular permission level for every single user that you've got in your system. So Rachel, take it away. Rachel, you're on mute.
Thank you, Paul. So when creating users now, you can see here, this stuff is all standard, same thing, name, email address, password, but down now under the privilege section, it is going to be defined out a little bit further compared to the way that it was before. So with the view only permission, you can see that we have different options here. So it's very flexible with what you're granting users access to see. So our recommendation when creating new user accounts is to start with the default customer account privileges. By clicking that, it's going to select what the defaults would be. And then from here, you go in and either select or unselect any other options that you don't want. One caution here with device comments, this is a new permission that we've added for the view only privilege. With this, you just need to be careful depending on at your dealer location what information you're putting into these device comments. Is this something you want to see the customer to see? If not, then you just want to make sure you're unchecking this option as well. So under the manage privileges, again, the same idea would be to use the default dealer account privileges and then remove whatever privileges you don't want to assign to this particular user. Okay, so the other thing that has changed is under groups. You can see if I want to create a new customer group here. Okay, I no longer have the option to assign privileges at a group level. It's all going to be done on an individual user level now. So any groups that you have assigned permissions to, those will be honored and they will be carried over once this release has been put out. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to take a look at is the Forza export. So we have included this again as in IDM 320. So under reporting, if I go to my data exports, you can see here we'll now have an option for the Forza export. This Forza export is basically going to be very similar or the same as our device inventory export, but now it's just meant specifically for Forza. Okay, So the export options that we have available on this. So down here, we can deliver the report immediately. We can schedule it for future delivery. And then we also have the option of sending it through the web. You can email it, or you can also set it up as a web service to be pushed to a site that you have created in your environment. Paul, do you want to expand on this a little bit?
Sure. So what we've got right now with Forza, we wanted to make sure that we had this inventory report set up properly for them. This allows you guys to use that ERP system with ease. So it allows you to set this data up to a location that you've got locally or through an email system where you can take that file, you'll be able to remove it and load that information up for your automated meter read system right into the Forza ERP system. Now, the other thing, Rachel, if you could just go back to the data exports for a second here, I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit more about some of the enhancements that we released a while back, but just to reaffirm it for you eAutomate users that are in the crowd as well. As you can see here, there are 3 different systems, data exports that are out there available. The very top one, which is the eAutomate web service, this is the original one that we had. This one here specifically, I would make the recommendation that if you are under, let's say, 3,000 devices, you'd want to take a look at that one. The one below it, which is called the eAutomate code mapping, this allows you guys to take a look at all the information that's being exchanged between us and eAutomate through the PIP system. And then the one below it, which is the equipment code pull. This is a specific designed communication, and what this communication does is this allows you to pull in things like the equipment ID number, location remarks. It also pulls in the customer ID number as well, which makes the data exchange go a little faster on the meter export. The one below it, of course, is the eAutomate meter push. This is absolutely dedicated for exporting out meters now, and specifically we came up with this multi-stage process so that you guys will be able to handle larger amounts of machines in field on a much lower amount of frequency of schedules. And at this point, I think that pretty much covers it. Is that everything that we wanted to talk about, Rachel?
Yep, those are going to be the major changes to IDM 320, yes.
Now, I will tell you a little bit about the IDM 320 release. Originally, this was supposed to be done in the last quarter of 2017. We made the decision to delay it, to pull in a couple of additional enhancements, make sure that the Forza export was working with the MWAI people, as well as just to make sure that we got all the use cases in. The 320 release is going to happen the morning of the 19th, so it will be 9:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Because this is a significant change to the back end, we are saying that this will be most likely at least a 1-hour outage. So be prepared for that. We want to make sure that you guys are aware of it. We will send out a notification probably early next week about the outage as well. There will be an outage notification on the landing page just in case you guys don't get it out to all of your staff on this. Let's see. Now we've got a couple of questions here. Rachel, I'm going to start asking, and if you've got them, we'll answer this. So the first one I've got is, does each account have to be set up individually with those email contacts for alerts, etc., or can we use a default email contact for each account?
So you can use a default email account for each one. If you were to set up the email contacts, if I go back under here, if you do this at the customer level, any email contacts that you apply under here would be able to use for this entire customer account, especially if you have multiple sites set up. So if you wanted to just set up one user account, you can do that. Let's say service@yourcompany.com, then we can set that up. And then, yes, you would just put that under each customer account that you have.
I got another question here. I have a question regarding meter exports. Can more than one user now see a report or a schedule?
That has not changed at this point. So reports will still be tied to one user account.
I will make a comment on that. This is the beginning, the groundwork of the security redesign that our team has been working on for a very long time. That change should happen in the next few releases. Now that this major infrastructure change is taking place. I got another question here. Will our current meter schedules remain the same as we have set them up now?
I believe so. I'm not really sure what that's what the question is there on that. If you're talking about anything that you have already configured as a scheduled export, then yes, or as a data export, then yes, that should all stay the same.
Got another one here. It says, so when using Forza export, will it export right into Forza, or will we still have to send it to an email or a site to upload it ourselves?
So with the Forza export, this is just an export. You will still have to go into Forza and do the import.
And just to add to that, at the moment, SAP, which is the back end of Forza, doesn't have an easy API, as you will. There are third-party tools out there in the marketplace that are dedicated to pass through like that. But at the moment, just because of some of the security credentials that we have to adhere to, as well as some of the security credentials that SAP has to adhere to as well, it is a pass from our site to somewhere local where you guys can pick it up and put those meters in. Okay, I got another question here. Will there be subgrouping on the customer level past the primary site, like subsites? Also, will those people that weren't able to be here be able to watch this webinar later?
So yes, you will be able to watch the webinar later. We are going to publish this. We will send out a YouTube link, as well as we are going to include this as part of our IDM CBT content. So if someone is currently taking that, then they would be able to see that as a handout under that. As for the other question with the subgrouping, at this point, I'm not too sure. What I would recommend you do is email either myself or Paul, give us details of what exactly you're looking for with the business case. We can then evaluate that and we can send that to Deb and put it in as a feature request.
Here, I got another question here. It says, a bit off topic, but can we see MFD scans through IDM?
I'm not sure I understand that question, Paul. Do you?
Yeah, I believe we're talking about these scan counters at this point. And I mean, I can answer that if you'd like, but or you can. Yeah, I mean, if it's in the MIB structure of the device, things like scans, we will definitely pick those up.
Yes, and just to add to that a little bit, it is device dependent, whether or not the devices will report that.
Okay, I'm not seeing too many other questions coming in through this. Again, like Rachel stated, the webinar series, once this is done and we've got everything set up and uploaded to YouTube, you guys will get a YouTube link to this webinar. This webinar will also be part of the computer-based training. So if you guys have, let's say, new users who are working with the IDM service that are coming on board, or if you have users that need a refresher on it, please reach out to myself or Rachel and give us the email address and the name of the user that you want to give access to this computer-based training, and we'll happily send out an invite so they can take this course. Look at that. We're just at the, oh, I got another question here. Can we also get some literature about the new changes to the email as well? Yes, we've got a how-to document that our support team has set up. It will be on the knowledge base, but we can also pretty much get you a copy of that. And that's it. We're done in 20 minutes, everyone. I want to thank you for your time for attending. We give you some time back today. I hope you guys have a good day, and we will talk to you guys later. Thank you very much, and have a good day.
Thank you.